a broadcast on assertive or aggressive. Um, I don't know if any of you struggle with that one. When am I being assertive and when am I being aggressive? And so I thought what we do is, because sometimes the easiest way to do it is just to work through it and just see, okay, fine, this is what I can see I'm doing. And so I've got a couple of quotes for you that we're going to look at and discuss. Just bear with me one second. And for those of you who are not regulars, just when I come up on live broadcast, I need to organize a couple of screens. Otherwise, I can't do the live broadcast. And that can be a little bit of a problem because you can't do it before you actually go live. So just bear with me one second. I'm nearly there. Just one more, and then we are just ready to go. Live, unfortunately, what happened was that I needed to close down my browser, and of course, all the screens that I had open ready to do this closed with it. So never mind. It is what it is, and it takes as long as it takes. So I'm happy. All right. Hi, Jody. Good to see you. I'm glad that everything went well at the doctor's appointment today. That's good to know. And even though it's sad that you're going to be losing your doctor, you got a little bit of problem with allergies today. I woke up and went, okay, fine. I guess I've got more allergies than I know about. Hold on a second. Something's telling me I shouldn't have done that. Okay, that's a bit better. All right. So, Jody, do you know which doctor is going to be looking after you in future? Yeah, did I take a tablet? Yes, Mother Hen, I did. Will it take a little while to kick in? Yes, Mother Hen. But I appreciate the fact that you care. All right, just bear with me. I've got one more to go, I think, and then I'm done. Yay. All right, hold on one second. All right, for those of you who are watching for the first time, maybe watching it on the replay, just to let you know the format, what we're inclined to do is when we first start, we will do some news and updates from various people. And then, but that's for the regular viewers because they like to, keep tabs on everybody. They might have need that for their information. And then what we do is we have a warning that the topic is about to start. Now, what will happen is that we'll actually record that time when the topic starts. So if you're new to the broadcast and you want to just deal with the topic, not worry about the news and updates, then please just look at the notes below and you will find that information. It'll say 002 whatever is news and updates, and then it'll give you a time that the topic itself starts. So you can just, if you prefer, just go straight there. All right, so now then, let's close that window, bring that one right up, and there we go. Yay. I think I'm there now. I wanted to just say, Jody, thank you for updating me on that other issue, the PayPal one. I appreciated that. Hi, Triona. How are you? It's great to see you back as well. We're hopefully going to be doing a fun broadcast today, but it might only, hi, Trip, it might only apply to me. Sorry, I've got allergies going on here, as you can probably see from my half-hooded eyes. And my drippy nose. Yes, I have taken the Benadryl. All right, so here we go. I wanted to start for just by doing some thoughts and prayers, and I don't know about the rest of you, but my thoughts and prayers today are with those poor young team members stuck in that cave in Thailand and their coach and the rescuers. Um, it looks like they're going to have to dive them out after all. You know, the monsoons are coming in fast and they need them out of there. So, you know, the fact that they lost a diver yesterday, you know, who knew what he was doing and didn't panic, presumably, um, but he ran out of oxygen because of something that happened to him when he was down there. We understand just how traumatic this is going to be for the next 24 hours. And what I was going to say was, if you were a parent of one of those children, would you want them to take the risk to try and dive them out, even though they'd never had any diving experience? Or would you rather take the risk and trust that God would look after them and not let the waters rise too high? By the way, I understand that the air quality in that little section where they're trapped is decreasing dramatically. So what would your call be? Because I tried to think, you know, hi Amy, if I were a parent of those children, what would I be saying? And you know, knowing there was probably less than a 50% chance that they're going to make it. You know, that's a Sophie's Choice, isn't it? And for those of you who are old enough to have watched that movie. So I just wanted to bring that up in terms of what's going on in the news, because, yeah, you see, that's the whole thing. You know, would you ever forgive yourself if they drowned in the cave because you left them there without, you know, without the possibility? Yeah, I think I'd have to do the same thing, but boy, it is really, really scary. And the fact that some of them don't even know how to swim, I'm wondering whether that's actually a good thing or a bad thing. You know what I keep thinking that they're gonna have to do, and it sounds amazing to me, but I don't know. I'm not a medical person. I'd love to have a medical person here. But I'd almost think that what they need to do is actually just about make them comatose, you know, just that they are breathing, but they're not aware of what's going on. Um, and, you know, almost blindfold them so that they don't see anything that's going to scare them more. You know what I mean? I can see them almost making them immobile. Yeah. That's what I believe. Two things. One is that they will probably strap them up like babies and then literally pull them with them. Yeah, Triona, you are very lucky that you're having a heat wave that you're enjoying. I do understand, if I'm correct here, Jody, I'm sure you've checked it, but I understand the heat wave in the eastern seaboard of the States is about to get cooler. And Jody, did the scarf trick help you? I also want to give thoughts and prayers to Nana, who managed to, she was standing in her garage, putting on her shoes so she could go out in the car. She apparently puts, you know, they take their shoes off in the garage. And she was leaning, you know, had her one hand on a shelf and accidentally put too much weight on that shelf. And apparently full paint cans came down on her hand. And she's telling me that she can move her fingers, but, you know, ouch, you can imagine. Yes, the scarf trick is a lifesaver. So if anybody doesn't know what the scarf trick is, it's amazing how it works, Jody. And, you know, for in your case, and I mean this quite sincerely, in your case, you might want to get Lionel to dunk a bed sheet in the tub and just wring it out and bring it. Hi, Alice. Welcome. Um, by the way, Alice, great showing of the Denmark team in the World Cup. I was very impressed with their performance. I hope you're proud of them, because I don't know. I didn't realize that you had such a strong team. And when I just went, wow, that's amazing that they got, I think they got into the round of 16, I think. Yeah, Jody, if it's working for you, that's what I was thinking. You might want to try that, because then you would have a total body experience. So for those of you who don't know what the scarf trick is, if you are suffering from heat, two things. One is go and take a shower. Start at your normal temperature and then turn it down. Just little bit by little bit, and you'll be amazed how low you can go. Brings your whole body temperature down, but it does another thing. It pulls the hot air from your house or your apartment, wherever you are, down with it. So it causes a suction thing that brings hot air with it. So that's one thing. But then after that, take a long scarf. If you've got one of those ones that you tie around your neck, not too tight, but you know what I mean. Literally put that in water and then wring it out. Go lie on your bed and put that long scarf over your body as far as it can go. And what will happen is, as the heat evaporates the moisture on the scarf, it gives you this incredible, it's almost like an air conditioner blowing on you. Jody, did you find that? It was like, I bet you said, wow, this actually works. Well, Alice, I'm sorry that you didn't know anything about sports, but your team did really well. I just need you to know that. It was very impressive. So, you just know that Denmark was on the map big time. I thought they actually might get into the quarterfinals. I was that impressed with them. So for those of you who are watching for the first time or ghosting, I just want to say that ghosting is when people are watching, but they're not in the room. We can't see them because they're not talking. I just wanted to welcome you to another broadcast and to thank you for being here. And by the way, ghost as long as you want to. We've had some people who ghosted for years before they ever came in and chatted. By the way, if you feel like it's time to come in and chat, we welcome people, as you probably know. And we love to hear from new people because it really gives us a whole new experience. Yes, I believe that she broke her arm but went straight back to the concert. So hi there, Linda. So I believe that is, awesome that she did that. All right, so just to recap, our thoughts and prayers, I'm certain everybody will feel the same way. Our thoughts and prayers, please, 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 can we pray for those young kids in Thailand that are going to be brought out, and they're going to have to bring them out. And also for their rescuers, obviously for the coach as well, who, quite honestly, I think deserve some recognition for having saved everybody's life up to this point. So for those of you who are watching for the first time, I just wanted to let you know that if you click somewhere up here in your top right-hand corner, it's probably in that corner. I never know whether it turns it around or not. What I was going to say was just click on the bell there, and then whenever I'm about to broadcast, it will announce it for you on your feed, so you will know. So that's a good thing. I also put up warning notices on Facebook and Twitter. So if you follow me on Facebook or do whatever you have to do, I think it's a follow as well on Twitter, then you will always get told, when I'm about to broadcast, because I normally give about a 35-minute warning for people. Birthday's coming up. Actually, it's an anniversary for today for Jen. How many of you remember the years back when she got married to Bear? And so, happy anniversary to Jen. I'll put up a special thing between the two broadcasts. It looks like a sherbet color, Jody. Thank you. Yeah, let me think. What did I do? All right, today's, this is not pretty, Jody, but it's Judy's palette. And I'm sorry for the mess, but I mix my colors over here. And as some of you know, I actually use moisturizer with my eyeshadows because I find they go on a lot better. I use this dark color here, For the, hang on a second. I don't want to get it all over me now, so let me get this right. All right, I use this dark color, Jody, for the shading, and then over the top of it, I put this gold color. It's difficult to see what the colors actually are. Oh, it actually gives the names on the back, but never mind. I never realized that before. Okay, so it's called Brick and Brick and Bubbly, and they're by Pixi. And they really are great. So just to know that. And in case you're wondering about the lip color, it's also funny enough, part of it is from Pixi's palette with Judy. I used this color, I think, for the darker part. And then, yeah, for the outline. And then I used an NYX color called 616 Watermelon. I find this a really nice contrast. You get it? Okay, thank you. I actually, do you know something? It's something that I always love to do. I literally will put on whatever I want to wear. And then what I will do is I will go, okay, what do I need to make it match the colors? Yeah, I must admit that I go back to NYX regularly. You know, I'll try other brands, but I do go back to there, and I will probably put a comment up in the notes if I remember, and especially if Jody reminds me about what those are. Maybe I should do that on a more regular basis. All right. So the main thing is, does it match sort of? And the answer is possibly yes. I'm just sorry that you're probably seeing more of my eyeshadow than you normally would because my eyes are having problems keeping open because of the allergies. So I wanted to yeah, the price of NYX is definitely very friendly. I wanted to just bring up a new segment. I don't know if you guys are interested in this, but I watched a movie on Netflix last night and I thought I'd just mention it. One of the things that my tip for the week is if you go to Netflix regularly, it's a really good idea to occasionally just type in a random word or even just one letter of the alphabet because it's going to bring up things that probably you have not seen ever. And I did that. I was looking for something in particular, and I can't remember what it was, and who cares. But it brought up the film The Music of Silence. Have any of you seen that movie? Okay. So this will only appeal to you, I guess, if you happen to like Andrea Bocelli, the opera singer, who is blind and incredibly good looking. Which was an interesting point. That, you know, his stunning good looks were not a hindrance to his career. I think women flock to opera suddenly. I had a feeling that you probably would, Jody, and that's why I'm mentioning the film. And I know that you've got Netflix, so they're not. You know, it was a really nice. He's a gorgeous-looking guy, yeah, and with incredible talent. But it's an incredible autobiographic movie. He wrote the book, and then they turned it into a film about how he became an opera singer. And it gives me goosebumps because it's not easy. How many of you saw, for example, the Facebook clip that I put up about the lady with, I would imagine, MS or something similar, who out of nowhere has this incredible operatic voice? And I think that appealed to me because I had just watched or was aware of about to watch the other movie. But to me, that is, yeah, I had tears as well. And I don't know about anybody else, but if you watch that lady who was being literally held up by another person, but I thought that person who was holding her up was as intriguing as the opera singer. But the thing was, the joy on her face as she did that was stunning. And I really did feel that that was one of those moments where you go, I don't know about you guys, but I looked at it and I went, okay, and what's my excuse? You know, she had all that going against her, and yet somehow she developed this incredible voice. So, and as far as I could work out, and I thought Erin would really be able to help us on that one. As far as I could work out, about the only thing she had control over was a little bit of movement in her hands. It looked like from the elbow up. And you know, the rest of it looked. Now, what I kept thinking, it looked pretty immobile. But what I kept thinking about was that person who was holding her up was not a strong person. But I'm talking, for those of you who don't know, I'm talking about a clip I put up on the YouTube, on the Facebook page. So if you haven't seen it, take some time after the broadcast and just check it out, because it really is amazing. The other thing I wanted to update you on, and if anybody else has got any news updates, start typing while I tell this story. I went into the States twice this week. The first time I went into the States was Wednesday, where I got all the way down to about 10 minutes away from where I was meant to be for lunch, when somebody advised me the lunch wasn't that day, it was the next one. And so I wanted to ask you, have you ever done anything like that? And what do you think I said when I realized it? What do you think I said to myself when I realized I had totally messed up? I was on the wrong day. I've got a lot of sugar and foam here. So you understand, I've gone to all the trouble of getting up early, which I don't normally do, all the trouble of waiting in line to go across the border, drove all the way down to a place called Cedro Woolley. I was literally about 10 minutes away. And then I heard it was the wrong day. So I was actually quite stunned at how I reacted. I smiled and then I laughed. I just went, wrong day. How typical of me. Can any of you see me doing that? I'm going, that sounds just like me. And then I went, I wonder how I get off the highway and turn around. And, I just started to watch for the next exit. And then once I turned around, I'm certain some of you can understand this. Now, if I'd been really practical, I would have just driven straight home and, not worried about anything necessarily. But I went, hey, I'm in the States already, so God must have a plan for me. I think I will stop and have lunch because that's what I came for. So then I drove to something called Bellis Fair Mall, which is still in the States. And I went and, okay, now you guys are going to love this or not. I actually walked the whole of the mall, because where I parked is the place I always park. And I didn't realize that Target was 3 blocks away. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't just a walk, it was a trek. You needed a packed lunch to get there. So I walked what felt like 3 blocks all the way to Target, because I wanted to get a new I'm a Slob watch. There's the strap of my other one broke, and I couldn't find a replacement for it anywhere. So I thought, the time has come. I need to replace the watch. So, and I thought, if I'm going to replace it, let me get the Fitbit, because, you can get so many different straps and things for it. And, I know that's not going to be a problem. So anyway, I managed to get the Fitbit, and it was a bit more expensive than I had planned, but never mind. I needed the watch. So, get the best you can. And then I'd walked the 3 blocks back again to the food court, where I ordered some Thai noodles. And they made them for me specially, knowing that I was allergic to garlic. And I want to tell you, I had such a great meal. So fresh, so tasty. And I was amazed how few calories they actually were in that meal. And that's why for some of you, consider doing more noodle dishes. Check out what the calories are, but do that. So then, while I was drinking my cool drink in the air conditioning, I thought I would open up the watch because the guy had said to me he thinks it already comes pre-charged, and I thought that's unusual. You normally have to charge them up for a day. But never mind. So and I went to open the box, and thank goodness I looked before I opened it, because on the little seal, that closes the box so somebody can't open it up and steal something, there was an S. And, part of me could have said, oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? They got my name on there, S for Sal. Yeah, but it wasn't that. What I realized was it was S for small. And I think some of you know I've got man-size hands, not lady-size hands. And the one thing you know is my wrist is not small on anybody's gauge. So what do I know? I know I've got to go back to Target 3 more blocks. And I hadn't got my slob watch on, so I couldn't even credit that walking into my day. Anyway, so I walked all the way back. Oh, did I mention that the electronic department was at the very far end of Target? It wasn't even near the front. You had to go through the whole store to get to the electronics department. So how many of you understand I did not do that a second time? I just went to customer service and I did I did my white-haired lady trick, and I went, I am so sorry to have to admit this. But I've just walked from the food court all the way here for the second time. And I'm not wearing the sort of shoes that were built to do this, because I was wearing wedges. And I said, so I wondered if you could possibly help me. This is a small, here's the receipt, and I need to exchange it for a large. And I'm really sorry to be so pathetic, but I really don't think I can make it all the way to the back there and back again, and then all the way back to the food court easily. And anything I can do to save that, I would appreciate. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Jody's saying you probably walked off the noodles. No. Sorry, Linda said that. So thank you, Linda. I think that's very true. Because I ended up with negative calories that day anyway. We like that. I found out what negative calories are now. So I got the larger one, and then I went back. So I had a really nice meal, and I had my new watch. And so the interesting thing was when I went to cross back into Canada. Now, I don't know, Nana would tell me probably. How many of you, anybody else here from Canada? I know Jamie isn't. Anyway, I was pretty sure I was going to have to pay duty on the watch coming back in. It wasn't like a $20 little thing I bought, although I did buy a $10 thing that I'm going to show you a video of. But I thought, oh gosh, I need to declare this. I don't want to get caught with this. So what I did was when I got to the border, they said, are you bringing anything back? And I went, yep, I'm a slob watch. Well, I actually just showed them the box and with the receipt. And I said, I've also got this other thing. I'm not going to mention what it is because I'm going to do the video, but and I think I bought something else small. Can't remember what it is, but anyway. So the interesting thing was they let me in without charging any duty. And somebody said it was because I was so honest. Most people would have just put on the watch and gone through. And they knew that I could have done that. Did cross my mind. Hi, Sakura. I wanted to give, just before I forget, I did want to give a shout out to Beth. As some of you know, Beth is trying to put on weight, where most of us are trying to lose weight. Beth is trying to put on weight. And she noticed that when she got on the scale, that her weight was going down again. And then wrote a note to me and said, I need to start counting my calories again. And I thought that was really responsible of her, right? It's like she didn't continue to count the calories, but what she did was when she realized on her scale that she was losing again, now it's time to go back and start counting calories again. I thought that was really good. So congratulations to Beth there. All right, so let's move on. We've done birthdays and anniversaries. We've talked about Nana. We've done that. We've done that. Okay, so time check now, Jody. We're talking 30:30 is the time check. Today we're going to be talking about assertive versus aggressive. How many of you have a little bit of confusion about, yeah, but isn't being assertive being aggressive? How many of you get a bit tied up with that one? When am I actually just being assertive, which means I'm standing up for myself, and when does that become aggressive? So I thought what I would do is actually do a little workshop on that so that, we can get a better handle on that. I said something yesterday that I believe was aggressive. I didn't intend it to be, but when I sort of replayed it in my mind, how many of you do that? How many of you will come back from doing something and then replay bits of what happened during the day? And I like to do that before I go to sleep so that I've sort of got a lot of it sorted. So here's what I thought I would do is I thought I'd give us some examples where we can discuss them and see if we can see where the differences are. Does that work for you guys? So as we're about to do a mini workshop, it might be a good idea for those of you who are those personality groups, um, that you grab a piece of paper and a pen or something so you can take whatever notes you want to. And some of you will never take a note, so that's also fine. So, it's just different personalities. Um, yes, Alice, for those of you watching on the replay, Alice is saying assertive is not aggressive, it's being direct. Yeah, it's actually, that is exactly what the difference is. However, what I found, Alice, which sort of agrees with what you're saying, it means you're not afraid of speaking your mind and you highly value expressing yourself in an authentic and powerful way. When you are effectively assertive, you are neither aggressive nor passive. Instead, you're direct, which is what Alice said, honest, and skilled at articulating your views. And what I did is I looked up aggression in the social psychologist handbook sort of thing. And this is their definition of aggression. Social psychologists define aggression as behavior that is intended to harm another individual who does not wish to be harmed. Hi, Kerry. Does that make sense to everybody? One is, I do no harm, and the other is, I intended harm. Yeah, Linda's saying she tried to be assertive a couple of times and was accused of being bloody minded. You know something? That's because you tried to change. Hi, Kerry. That's because you tried to change what you were doing. People don't like change. Would you like an answer for the next person who says that to you? Linda, just let me know. Because part of what I like to do in these workshops is actually to hopefully give you a few things that you can say instead. Now, Alice is raising a very good point. She's saying that you have to do both sides. No, we don't have to, but you may choose to do both sides. And one is that you need to also know how to assertively listen. So, as Alice is obviously an expert at this one as well, do you want to give us your definition of that, Alice? So, can you see that on the one side, you are being direct and honest, no intent to harm, just telling your truth? And the other is that I've said this probably because I'm angry or frustrated or whatever. And you might not even consciously mean it to be hurtful, but it is. Got it? It's somehow in what you've said. Yes, but how do you do that actively? All right, because assertive listening is an action. So, are we saying then, Alice? I often use this expression here, which is seek first to understand. In other words, ask the questions you need to ask, and then listen for what the answers are before you judge it. And the reason I say that is because normally somebody just flicks a switch and you go from being who you are to Attila the Hun in a heartbeat because whatever they said really hurt you. Yeah, so that is, I want to make sure, Alice, that we put words around it so people understand what assertive listening is. All right, so Alice, do you want to, if you wouldn't mind, because that's a really great way to show people, do you want to insult me just so that I can show people what assertive listening is? Or me, my broadcast, whatever, just throw out an insult. Pretend that that's what you wanted to do. Yes, Triona. Triona's saying, but isn't the other person's issue if they pick it up as aggression? Yes, part of that's a very good point. Part of it can be that the perception didn't go over as that way. Well, Alice, if I am not prepared to do it, I wouldn't ask you to say it. So, so it's just easier for people to understand what aggressive listening is if I give them an example. So you don't have to do this as a choice. But does anybody else want to insult me? In a lineup of people, maybe, just so that I can give that demonstration. So, hi, Kim. Good to see you here. And some statements are really easy to identify. And for example, there was a comment. If you want to work on this, start reading comments on things like WhatsApp and Twitter, because you get a lot of examples of what is aggression and what is assertive. Yes, Linda. All right. So Linda's saying that she always takes, and she's in England where they use this expression bloody minded, as really meaning I don't like having you step forward with your opinion. Yeah. Hi, Erin. Good to see you. So yes, this is a very good point. I have an example. Let me put this example out there because it is something that came up recently. One of our viewers actually had a situation where she took on a new job. And a family member said, only losers work for that company. Now, do you all agree that's pretty obviously... Yeah, we're the trolls when we need them, Pat. Yeah, isn't that the truth? All right, so you understand. So she went, decided to take on a new job, and the first thing that a family member said is only losers work for that company. Well, why would you take, let me requote that. I think she said, why would you take that loser job? Now, do you understand what the message is that they're sending? That is a pretty hurtful message. So to me, that was aggressive. It wasn't passive aggressive. It was aggressive. Hi, Judith. And meet, oh, is she in here? Hang on a second. I've just got to check. I always like it when the Irish get together. Oh, no, she's not in here yet. Triona. Triona is also from Ireland, I think. All right. So, Erin, if you wouldn't mind, give us an update. Did you have more blood tests and everything? Because I've sort of got past that thing, but I know people want to know. And I can then just read it out. So, how about this one? I'm going to give you a quote, and you tell me whether you think this is assertive or aggressive. All right? Understanding assertive is when I'm telling you the truth, my truth, and aggressive is when I'm coming back probably from anger, and my intent is you hurt me, so I'll hurt you. Got that? That's how I describe it. And here's the quote. I wouldn't have to manage my anger if people could learn to manage their stupidity. Do you think that's passive? Do you think that's assertive, or do you think that is aggressive? And by the way, have any of you ever thought that? I've got to own that one. I'd love to tell you no, but I've got to own that one. I've on more than one occasion thought that. But I can laugh about it because that's part of learning, right? Is when you realize, okay, fine, I've done that. Yeah. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means we're learning how not to do it. All right, so you all agree that's pretty aggressive. Yes, and Alice, again, nails this one on the head, which is you're blaming others for your own behavior. Yeah, Amy, I had a feeling you'd probably own that one as well. Yeah, Kerry thought it too. All right, so do you all understand we're humans? But as long as you can see now that it actually is pretty aggressive. Now, how many of you think you've done that just in humor? I was just being funny, really. But be aware that yes, mums say to kids, "You're making me cross." How many of you have had mothers say, "I brought you into this world, I'll take you out"? Would you say that is assertive or aggressive? Anytime, and I think that's such a nice, easy way, right? Anytime we blame somebody else for our reactions, you know that it's this owning stuff is ringing true a lot recently. You know something, Linda? It is with me as well. I just want to let you know that I do not claim to be an expert in these things. I just hoping that we can all look at it. All right, this is not about a guilt trip. This is about I've done that, and learning how. Yeah, Erin's saying her mum said it all the time. Yeah. Or how about if you don't stop crying, I'll give you something to cry about. I can remember that one. So let me ask you something. What would be a better way of saying, I brought you into the world and I can take you out? You do understand that that is a control issue. Oh, interesting. Yeah. All right. And this is a quote. It's interesting that YouTube brought that up as something for me to clear. Linda, they didn't like the fact that they thought you were insulting me. Hang on. I'll wipe that smile off your face. Yeah, Alice, own your own shadow side. I think it's absolutely true as long as people understand what a shadow side is. Hi, and hi, Carmen. Listen to this. Carmen's saying how you perceive others is yours to own, not them. Your reaction lies with you. Resilience is true character building. All right, so Triana is saying a better way to saying, I could take you out if I want to. I love you to the kids, but I'm not liking your actions at the moment, right? So what else have those of you who've got this under control, what else have you said to your children? I can remember I've used it as a example here once where I had a young person, probably in their early teens, swear a 4-letter word at me in anger. I came out of nowhere. I was quite shocked. And, my instant reaction was to come back, um, and attack them. And what I did, I was so proud of myself that day because I took a deep breath and I said, I don't know what I've just done that caused you to attack me with your words, because I can hear by the words you use that you're really angry. So why don't we take a 10-minute break while we think about this? And then I'll come down and we'll talk about it. And that's what I did. So you understand, when somebody insults you, they are hurt at some level, or as Alice is saying, they are either jealous, angry, or bitter, or something like that. But I just want to make sure that you understand. I just want to also, just for the people who are watching this on the replay, Alice is also mentioning the shadow side is not our pretty side, right? It's the one we normally hide from people. It's like people will say to me, "Oh, you're the nicest person." I said, "No, you haven't met my bitch from hell yet." Because believe me, I have one. Try betraying me or pushing my shoulder blades against a corner. Believe me, that bit that comes out then is not quite as nice as you think. And I own that. I know I've got that side to me. I don't know, Carmen, if you have, if you all have. I know I have, and I own it. I just go, I know I've got it in me. Wow, Kerry. So our condolences for you with the passing of your dad. Jody, if you could just take a note of that. All right. So this is what, how many of you relate to this one? I've deleted your number. You're basically deleted from my life. Yeah, I think, this whole thing that I want you to know, this shadow side, this bitch from hell thing, it's there to try and protect you. And, Triona's saying we need it to survive. What I believe self-actualization is when we can actually see it and start working with it and control it a little better. How many of you would honestly like to control it a little better? That's really kind of you. Thanks, Linda. Linda's saying she had some issues with her sister, and she said, Sal, you told me about how bitter, etc. she was, and that saved me. Honestly, I had 9 years of self-torture and now 5 years of relief. All right, so Kerry's saying that she's she's got a witch from hell, but she's under control for the most part. Yeah. So do you understand that if I delete your number, you're basically deleted from my life? Well, what is it really saying? Yes, Triona's saying with age, we feel more in control. I would say with age, we mature enough to be able to own it. I think, you understand what I'm saying? And if we can own it, then we control it a bit. Yes, Kim. How many of you relate to that Kim's saying? She's saying, when people attack me, I get so angry. Yeah, Amy, I agree that if I delete your number, you're basically deleted from my life. It's saying that you never really mattered, really. And that's hurtful, right? And that is hurtful. And quite honestly, if you're honest with yourself, and this is what we do, right? We have a look at ourselves on a Friday lunchtime. If you look at yourself, how many times have you done that in anger? They hurt you at some level that they probably didn't even know. And so you instantly come back and hurt them back. It's like an eye for an eye. Now, Yes, Kimmy. And you know something? We're all working to control. How many other people in the room are working on trying to control their anger response? Because the moment that we come back with anger, all right, you know you've lost control, right? So that's what I try and do. I go, I didn't like that reply very much. You know, when I sort of process it at night, I go, I didn't like that reply very much. I could have done a bit better on that one. And then I start processing it out. All right, so Kim is saying that she keeps her anger inside. Well, you know something? How many of you relate to that one? How many of you have people say things to you and it hurts? Kimmy, one of the interesting things, that I found is that when you don't know how to answer it, but it hurt, it's okay to say, ouch, that hurt. I'll have to look into why, but that hurt me. Yes, very good point, Alice. How many of you are working on controlling your tears when you get angry, or upset? I What I found was I only cry when I am so frustrated, and I know that I want to probably hit the person or do something else, and I feel socially unable to do that, and therefore my frustration wells up, and so do the tears. You know what I mean? It's like the waterfall. Um, and sometimes I can literally be standing there looking really angry, and then my tears give me away because But it is our reaction to what they said. It's an ouch. But if you feel ouch, it's the thing to start doing if you can, people, is when you feel an ouch. Even if you need to just say, "Ouch, I'm sorry, that hurt me, so I need a second just to regroup." So it's important for you to understand that, why do you cry? Have a look at that, all right? And see if there's a pattern to why you cry each time. And for me, it's like, I really wanna tell you what I honestly think, but I know socially I should not do that, and I'm gonna live to regret it, so I'm not gonna do that. I think, Carmen, that we all find conflict difficult. And she's also saying, with being able to react or admit I'm angry or hurt, as that can cause conflict. The frustration builds and then I cry. I can relate to that. Good. That's good, Carmen. I appreciate that input. Yes, Erin. And that's what I'm saying, that, the reason we cry is out of frustration on some level. All right. By the way, it's a really good thing to cry. I was having lunch with somebody um, this week, and they said something that I thought was quite hurtful. Quite hurtful. But it's somebody I love, and so what happened was the tears just started to fall down, and they got that message. And by the way, I just carried on talking like it wasn't happening. You know? Um, but did they get the message that that hurt? I think so. And so I honestly have heard from a lot of medical people, if you cry instead of hitting somebody, that's a good thing. Right? Also, if you cry because you're so frustrated, it's a good thing. It releases the emotion at some level, and your chances of having a heart attack are actually greatly reduced because you are letting go. That's what crying is, right? You're letting go of that emotion in that moment. Even if it's out of frustration, don't be ashamed to cry. All right, now have a listen to this one and see what you think. Oh, just before I do that, Linda's asking, Sal, do you think that confidence in expressing your opinion gets easier with age? Yes and no. Yes, I think it does get easier because you have more words around it if you've done the work, right? This is the whole thing. You need to do the work. Alice has done an incredible amount of work on herself, which is why she's answering these questions the way that she is. She couldn't answer the questions the way that she's doing unless she'd done the work. So, yay, well done. Um, so it's a learning process. We've got to learn how not to react from anger. Right. So, and how many of you sort of walk away and go, I wish I'd had the right answer for that in the moment? So, what I'd like you to do, if you wouldn't mind, is document a few of the things that hurt you during the week and wish you had a smart answer for, and let me have them at a different broadcast, and I'll see what I can do for you. How many of you would like that? I'll try and put some words around it. And maybe if Alice is here, that she also will be able to, because she's pretty good at this stuff. Okay, Alice, good to see you, honey. Um, Now then, how do you feel about this quote? Do you think that this is assertive or do you think it's aggressive? All right, here we go. The best feeling is when you realize that you are perfectly happy without the people you thought you needed the most. Is that somebody telling their truth or do you think that is aggressive? And explain your reasoning. Okay, so two of the viewers are saying that they think three of the viewers are saying it's assertive. Jody's adding no intent to harm. But if somebody said that to you, Jody, if somebody said, you know what the best feeling in my life was? It was the day I let you go and it didn't mean anything to me anymore. How would that feel? So that's a good way to judge. If you're wondering, was that was that aggressive or not? Turn it around and say, if somebody said that to you, how would you take it? So just do you understand what I'm saying? It's a good way to find out what it is. If somebody said that to you, would you? That would depend on who it is. Yes, which means that is conditional, Jody, and that it has legs, as they say in the media world. It has legs on it. In other words, there's more to that. Hi, Roseanne. Good to see you. Yeah, she's saying that truth hurts, but at least it's the truth about how they feel. Carrie's saying it would hurt, but I'd let it go because I presume, Carrie, because it is their truth, right? My feeling is this, that I think it is very well disguised, but it is aggressive. That's my feeling. And I've done it a million times, I'm sure. And so I'm trying to think where the aggression comes in. I thought I needed you, but I don't. I think that's the hurtful bit. I think the first bit, it's the best feeling when you realize you're perfectly happy without certain people. I'm Because I think that is true. But if you're actually saying it to somebody, then it's hurtful. Now, that's a little bit of a difficult one, so just think about that, all right? But if somebody said, "I thought I was gonna miss you a whole lot more than I did," that is their truth. And by the way, the thing that I got caught up on was that one. I found myself I was talking about, somebody I love very dearly, and I basically had to beg them to see them. And I made a statement, recently, and I said, I am not gonna do that anymore. I'm not going to beg to see them. I believe Kim's asking a very valid question, which is, what if a disrespectful child is saying that? I think the rules are the same, quite honestly, Kim. It is our job as adults to be able to control ourselves when that happens. And so um, I believe, and I could be wrong on this because I'm not a parent and I understand that that makes it different. But I believe if you hear that and you say, I can really hear that you're quite angry with me at the moment, and that's okay to have feelings. So what we're going to do is we'll wait a little while, and maybe we can discuss it a bit later when we're both feeling a lot more calm. So, why don't you go to your room and think about what that's really about? Maybe you could write it to me. So write me a letter so I can understand. Ah, so absolutely right, Kim, right? My child, but she is an adult. But it's still childish behavior. Kimmy, there isn't a person in the room here that wouldn't tell you that they have said incredibly childish things in their time as adults. Okay? So, but the thing is, why did they feel necessary to be aggressive? They felt necessary to be aggressive at some level because they are hurt at some level. Do you all get that? You don't come out like that if you're feeling really loved. You come out with a hurtful statement when you are being attacked, even if it's not true, even if the intent wasn't to attack. Now, I gave you the example about I've decided I'm not going to beg to see that person anymore. How many of you think that is aggressive? Or is it assertive? Well, I thought it was assertive when I first said it, and then I gave it a bit more thought. And when I gave it a bit more thought, I've decided that actually what it inferred is that I am going to change my behavior. And if I allow that person to change my behavior, I don't think that's assertive. You know what I mean? I think if I allow that person to change my behavior and my behavior intent is good, then I don't think that's assertive. I think then I'm backing myself into a little corner somewhere. Ah, nice one, Carmen. And how many of you, if you agree on this, just do way to go, Carmen. Carmen's saying, do you think aggression is a way of seeking a response or a reaction from someone who deep down you still do love and care for? Basically, Carmen, if I can give you a few words of advice here, because I'm pretty sure we've all had this happen. And what I find is that that's when I use the ouch, I go, wow, I'm pretty sure you didn't intend to hurt me there, but I did feel some pain with that comment. I'm hoping it's not true of me, but I need to take some time now and go and process that. Kim, same thing, all right? What she said was rude and disrespectful. And you are an adult and you are her mother. I think you said that was your child. You have the right to say, I know I didn't bring you up to talk to me like that. So obviously you're really angry. I do not intend to make this any worse because I don't want to say something I may regret forever. I've done that to a number of my friends. who started to get really angry with me, and my bitch from hell wants to come out and protect myself, and I go, I need to stop this conversation right now. It's not because I'm a coward. It's because I am getting triggered, and I love you dearly, and I don't want to say something in anger that I may live to regret forever. But Kim, you have to walk away and let it go. Right? What you do is you hold on to it. So the way to let it go sometimes is to write a letter or write some sort of email or something. And if you're capable of doing that, and then just make sure you take all the blame statements out and keep it in the first person. I just need you to know, I felt really hurt when you said X, Y, and Z because I didn't think that was fair. Or I felt really hurt when you said that because I know that I didn't bring you up to talk to people like that. And yes, Kim, you're right. Right? We can't please everybody. And I want to tell you, I was down at a function yesterday, and I know I upset a few people. I know it because I did something that they didn't expect. And some people would have been offended by that. So, it's like, but as we're saying, my intent was good, but that's not the point. But I do know it was very authentic of me. And if you know me, you wouldn't have been surprised I did it. But the other side of it is, will it offend somebody? You bet it will. I have found out that the fact that I breathe offends some people. So, so be it. There were other people in that room that actually felt very differently. Gosh, wasn't that amazing? You know what I mean? It's just like it depends who it is that's judging you. All right, so here, Kim, this is another one that I'd like to add to this in case it helps, and anybody else in case it helps you. How about coming back with, I'm not sure if I understand this correctly, but did you just say that you hate me? Or whatever the words were that they said. And just understand that that is childish wording. Children say, I hate you when they don't get their own way. They have lost control. You have put down a rule that controls their life and they don't like that. Right? That's what happens with children, right? You're not allowed to go out and play with Jane today. I hate you. Stomp at the foot, whatever. The other thing, Kim, that something that really disarms a lot of people is, if they say something really hurtful to you, and by the way, being a YouTuber, you do know I've had more than my fair share of that, right? It's amazing the things that the haters have to say about me. And so what I try to do is even if they leave a negative comment on my YouTube page, right, for example, I will actually make a point, not of ignoring them. I will go back and thank them for their opinion because that is what it is. Just because they think that doesn't make it truthful, it is just their opinion. And 9 times out of 10, I also try and add, I hope you have a super day. Right? It's like, I feel sorry for them. It is one thing to have a split second think about that, but it's another to actually type it and put it into the universe forever. You know what I mean? So there's part of me that feels actually quite sorry for them. But I still appreciate the fact that they were truthful. How many of you, and I keep asking this question as well, how many of you prefer a friend who is truthful than one that sugarcoats everything and pretends that they love everything? I've said this many times to people, don't ask me if you want sympathy, right? How many of you know the reason I warn people I'm going to come out with a 2x4 is because I know I'm going to come back with something that could hurt them. So I want to give them a warning before I do that. How many of you appreciate the fact that I warn people before I bring out the 2x4? All right, this is why we love Amy. Okay, this is classic. Amy's going, so I guess it's not a good thing to come back with, and I should care. Why? I love it. Yeah, Erin's saying, she'd much rather somebody tell me the truth than lie and make me feel good. Yeah. No. I want to tell you something, Amy. I I I think I used to own that title. But you may have taken it on, yeah. I was really good at that, and I still am. If I lose control, I still am. I've always said to people, I can do one-liners that make people laugh, but don't misunderstand this. I am equally good at doing one-liners that can cut you off at the knees, and that's what I'm working on, not doing that anymore, if I can. Kim's going, thanks for the input, Amy. You see, I think that what we're looking at is just that be aware of how many of your statements are childish, right? You'd expect it from maybe somebody at school, but it's not what an adult says. So I guess the overall thing about this, if I were to put it in very simple terms, is grow up. Don't react like a teenager, react like an adult. But I don't expect you to be perfect at it because I'm not going to be. You know that. But do you understand this thing? I'm not sure if I understand this correctly, but did you just say you hate me? In other words, seek first to understand. And what is incredible is how people react to that statement. Some of you, Amy says, but I don't want to grow up. I know exactly how you feel, Amy. You will grow up kicking and screaming the whole way, but you will grow up. And Kim's saying that's what she says to them, grow up. Now, maybe it's like, gosh, for a second there you sounded like a child, but I choose not to listen to that because I know you're an adult. And when you're ready for an adult conversation about this, why don't you get back to me? Because what adults do is they discuss things and talk about it. And children vent. Now, this one I owned. I don't know if any of you appreciate that when I do the research for these programs, I'm going, oh yeah, that one hit me, so it probably is going to hit somebody else as well. So deep breath, everybody. And how many of you relate to this one? It sucks when you realize you rejected other people for the one person who wasted your time. Now, this could be a boyfriend situation that you said no to an awful lot of people because you said yes to this one. And it sucks when you realize you rejected other people. Yeah. However, in your adult thinking, how many of you can see that somewhere in meeting that person, it wasn't a waste of time? They taught you a lesson you needed to learn in life. Whether you wanted to learn it or not, you actually grew up a bit because of that relationship. I could say, gosh, it was terrible. I left Africa. I gave up my very lucrative business. I left Africa, came all the way to Canada to get married. And my husband cheated on me, and that, it's all his fault. I did that, quite honestly, for quite a while. And then I thought, something, I would not be in Canada if it were not for him. I would not probably be doing this if it were not for him. Because I wouldn't have come to Canada, and I probably wouldn't have met the people that I've met, including Benji and Judy, for example, and, realized that I could perhaps help people online. So I actually now have turned that around and go, I really thank him for all that he did to charm me and make me naive as I was, fall in love with him. And I was naive, people. You need to know that. I'm amazed at how naive I was. And, I have to thank him at some level. Right. So Carmen is saying, I agree to an extent, but doesn't everything happen for a reason? Okay. So if that is true, Carmen, why did God have me, or why did I have to drive all the way down as far as I did the day before the day I actually was meant to go down? If everything happens for a reason, what do you believe the reason was? I actually think that. And that's how I do it. See, when I heard, okay, you're a day early, I smiled and went, oh, that's interesting. And then I just sort of looked up, a little bit, not too much, because I was driving down the I-5 at speed. I went, okay, what would you have me do? And then I realized it had taken me away. It had taken me away from all the thinking and research and everything else that I've been doing on where am I going to live next. Yes, exactly, Triona. It was a break away from the packing. And Jody's saying to get that incredible pad thai, I want to say that that was so fresh. You could taste that the ingredients were fresh. Now, I'm never used to be a big thing about that, but it was just like it tasted like, with all due respect, it tasted like Benji had made it. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so Erin's saying, I rejected a lot of people for one person who wasted almost 11 years of my life, and that still sucks. Some of my friendships are still strained because of it. But Erin, I know that you are capable of incredible process. So let's get honest for a second. Those 11 years, you didn't hang on for that long without getting some benefit. So what did that person bring to your life, or what lessons did you learn that you needed that person in your life? Triona's saying the words that we all know. You're a child of the universe. You have a right to be here. Um, Triona's saying we're all meant to be where we are at this time. I believe so. I believe everything that happens around us is to teach us the next lesson. And it will keep repeating until we get the lesson. That's the unfortunate part. I've said that time and time again, but that's my experience. I always used to fall in love with a certain guy until one day I went, enough. Enough. I'm not going to do this anymore. It's enough. But it wasn't about, it was their fault. It was mine. I kept falling for the same BS time after time after time. And I got the same result. I got horribly betrayed. Okay, so you see, this is what I love about Erin. She's so honest with these things, right? She's saying, I think it was at a time when I needed to, I needed, yeah, I needed to feel needed and helpful. And that person made me feel that way because they supposedly had all these problems they needed help with, right? So I felt, I'm adding in my thoughts on this. Yes, Erin. So in a way, they gave you reason to be. You felt that it was, you were doing good by doing that. All right. So Triona is saying that she met her husband the night before she was moving to the UK for work. So what did you do? Did you decide not to go? Yeah, Kim, here is the thing. If it keeps happening time and time again, it's like, why would you keep walking down this same road? It's got a hole in it. Don't walk down this road. But, we want to blame the hole for the fact we get hurt, when the truth is we hurt ourselves when we repeat this behavior. Does that make sense to everybody? We do it to ourselves. I go, some of you have heard me tell the story, but I had friends who literally would go to parties with me and they'd stand me at the door and say, Sal, scan the room. Tell me who you fancy. And I go, okay. And I go, That one. And they go, "Okay, everybody stay well away from that one." Because we know the sort of guy that Sal picks. This one is not not gonna be trustworthy. He may be charming, but he's not gonna be trustworthy. And I go, "Thanks, guys. You're really good for my self-esteem." But it was the truth. That's probably why I didn't like it very much, but it was the truth. All right, so how many of you fallen into this trap, and do you see it as aggressive or not? All right, which is, I understand that you're angry, but you made me angry first. And Carmen is, really great stuff, Carmen. I'm presuming that the fact you're typing this is okay for me to repeat it. But Carmen's saying, I think during awful times, why me? Why is this happening? And then years later, a light bulb moment. Okay, so that's why it happened. And it brings me to where I am now. And we are so glad you're here, Carmen. You understand that. If you hadn't had all the BS go on in your life, you wouldn't be here in this room right now. And we wouldn't be enjoying your honesty and authenticity right now. Are any of you feeling a little sad as we talk about this? And the reason I say that is because when I do my processing, I go, wait a minute, where did I blame somebody else for the way I was feeling? And was that a loving thing I did, or was that a childish act of temper? You know, and so that's what I want to know. Was I being childish or an adult? Yeah, and it's okay to do this every now and I try not to do all the broadcasts on this stuff, but as so many of you seem to be being helped by it, I will, continue to talk on Friday lunchtime about, personal growth stuff. All right, now then, how many of you understand this point of view? Never stop doing little things for others. Sometimes those little things occupy the biggest part of their heart. Never stop doing little things for others, because sometimes those little things occupy the biggest part of their heart. And so when somebody has hurt you, own it and go, wow, that hurt. And then ask yourself, why did I allow that to hurt me? Why did I allow that to change my behavior? So this person that I said, I'm not going to beg anymore. It's like, okay, so this is called plan B. Maybe I do it a different way, or maybe I just, keep being the squeaky wheel until somebody hears me and does something that, I'm trying to get accomplished. You didn't have to, Kim. Kim's saying I had to stop talking to certain people in my family because they're so toxic. You chose to. You didn't have to. You made a choice. Hey, my life is happier when I'm not talking to them. Don't say you have to, because that gave them the control. You understand the difference. I chose not to keep talking to them because they pissed me off. It's okay. Well, Carmen, we are so happy that you came to join us, because this is the thing. You do know that I am not a perfect human being, right? We got this one straight. And you do know the whole reason I came to do DearMamaSal was to talk about these things and hopefully, get people to think a bit. Not everybody can afford to go to therapy. Not everybody can, do the work that's necessary. And not everybody really likes counselors. Have you noticed that? I'm amazed how many people used to come to me privately and said, I've been to about 10 of the top counselors, but they drive me insane because they don't talk reality. And so to me, it's about, hey, if I can talk about what's going on in my life and use that as examples to help you see what's going on in yours, yay, that's a win-win in my book. Yeah, Triona, not everybody is as honest, but do you also understand that by doing that, Triona, I open myself up for a lot of criticism? All right? That makes me very vulnerable in some ways, but it is what I choose to do. I pay the price. I to me it's like I drove all the way down for that lunch yesterday. I did it twice, but I drove down to that lunch yesterday not because I wanted to, but because somebody wanted to thank me for my contribution in their life. And by the way, that wasn't Benji. Um, you know, this was somebody who wanted to acknowledge me publicly. And I realized that I could go down there for ego reasons, but it wasn't about that. When I checked in with myself, why am I going? I went because I know it was important to that person. She wanted to be seen to thank me. Does that make sense? Triona, I don't think it's important whether everybody is honest here because I certainly have had some people who are not. I think the only important question is, are you being honest to yourself? And that's really, you don't have to say yes or no publicly. I just want to make people think of it. That's what I want to do. This is not about, if you are blaming people a lot. Hi, Belen. Good to see you again. If you are blaming people a lot, you understand you're saying it's not my stuff, it's theirs. Well, it isn't. When you start blaming other people, then it's your stuff. And you've got to look at what hurt you. Now, had something happen to me yesterday that hurt me at a different level. Okay, you ready for this one? See if you can work out why I reacted. All right. I was sitting with my friend who is also my realtor. And we were discussing some of the things that had happened to me this week because I've been pretty busy on that side this week. And then she found out that I had gone to see a fifth wheel, a secondhand fifth wheel on my own. And that I was considering buying the fifth wheel on the ground that it sat, sort of thing, And she said, why didn't you have your realtor there? And I went, what? And she said, why didn't you have your realtor there? And I said, because it's a fifth wheel. It's not a property, it's a fifth wheel that I was trying to buy. And she said, but I should have been there to represent you. And I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck go up like this. And I started to react in my mind. And then I went, yeah, I know you'd want to do that because I know that she would want to protect me. Do you understand that? But I could feel the hairs going up. And then I thought, this is where I thought I was assertive, guys. So listen to this one. And I was giving myself time so I didn't react too strongly. And I said, let me see if I understand that correctly. So when we went down to the States and we saw those fifth wheels there, had I bought one, you weren't there as my friend with me. You were there as my realtor in case I needed, because I'm not allowed to do that deal without you. No, that would have been different. And then it didn't make sense to me. Do any of you understand? It didn't make sense to me in that moment. And I went, I don't see the difference. Unless you're saying that all dealers are ethical and people selling their property, their fifth wheels are not ethical. And therefore you needed to be there to protect me. Which also says, if you excuse my saying so, people, that you didn't think I was capable of seeing that possibility. So do you see why I reacted? Now, the interesting thing is, just an adjunct to this, an add-on to this, is that I got a call about an hour later from her husband, and he said, you're absolutely right. You do not need a realtor with you. Interesting, right? And I said, yeah, that's what I thought. So do you see, I believe that what I did was assertive, not aggressive. Let me see if I understand this. Should I have had you with me when I went to buy, You see, I gave another scenario. And then she said, no, absolutely not. And I said, well, can you explain the difference so I understand? See, I didn't agree with it. I didn't think I needed to. But can any of you see, those of you who know me pretty well, and some of you do, can you understand that part of me felt some level of guilt? I was being told off for doing it wrong. Do any of you see that part of it? You should, the word should was the key. You should have had me there. That's a guilt word. So there was this bit of me that was feeling about this big because I had broken the rules. Do any of you relate to that? And, and it was like, I've been a bad girl. Hang my head in shame, shuffle my feet, look at my little patent leather shoes. Now the joke is, I didn't say it, but it was in my mind, but I really, have any of you had that moment where the words are actually running across your tongue and you manage to shut your mouth before they get out of your teeth? You know what I mean? And I had these little words running across my tongue and I shut my mouth and I didn't say it, which was, I don't think I've signed an exclusive document yet. And that's when I knew that part of me was pissed. and I went, but I'm not going to go there because I know this person loves me and I know this person is trying to protect me. I just need to breathe and give them time to process it. And yes, very good point, Triona. Yes, Carmen, can you see that? I was quite proud of myself, actually. It's it's good. You turned your aggression into assertiveness. Okay, where's the ouch, Chip? And by the way, I'm genuinely sorry you feel ouch. So, but I'd love to know where it comes from. See if we can process it with you. So I'm hoping this has made some sense to some of you. And I'm hoping, but if you like your assignment for the week, if you'd like to do that, because I try and do that on a Friday, is what if we all concentrate on what we actually say? Oh, Chip, yes, I agree. If I'd said what I want, what my little anger person wanted to say, which is, excuse me, I don't think I've signed a contract yet. Yeah, that's right. That was pretty painful. And I knew that wasn't true. I knew this was about that she genuinely didn't want me out there trying to buy things without her input. That was what it was. She wanted to protect me. Because she knows, a lot about buying and selling things that, I don't. That's what you buy an expert for. So that's a good thing. So our assignment for the week is really to have a look, and if you can, before you go to bed, think about, how many times today, by the way, how many times a day do you think you get angry? I'm not saying red zone angry, but how many times a day do you get just a little tweaked? Somebody triggers you at some level. So what I'm hoping for is that when you get a moment, and some of you will, the only peace and quiet you're going to get is when you go to the washroom. So you may want to keep a journal in there and try working with it. Or you may want to just give some time to think about things. But what I try and do before I go to bed, before I go to sleep, I'm already in bed, is I try to think through the day, where did I react in anger today? Even if I didn't let it out of my mouth. Kim's talking about a reaction. I'm not going to repeat that unless you tell me it's okay, Kim. But the truth is they are entitled to their opinion. And if you want people to be honest with you, then the answer is, hey, thank you for your opinion. And walk away from it. You don't need to just say anything else. I appreciate the fact you gave me your opinion. Thank you. You don't have to agree. Or I can hear you're really passionate about that, and I'm glad that you care that much. Thank you. Now, Kerry would be doing this. But, it's like, yeah, Kimmy, and that's where we learn, right? It's like this is what we do is we learn more words. Oh, Kerry, I just quoted you in vain there. Triona, I think we all do. Triona's saying that she gets passive aggressive a lot. And I'm going, I think we all do. I don't think there's anybody in the room that, doesn't do it. I think it's part of being human. But the thing is, can you catch yourself? Oh, I was just talking about a certain situation, and I was pretty sure you would have reacted this way to that situation. Because, some of us know you quite well. So, all I'm asking you to do is not to be perfect, but start looking at that. And then, yeah, Carmen, all right, today a lot. And, what I do is keep score, Carmen. Are you a competitive person? Because I sort of have that part of me that's fairly competitive. And this is what I do. And I go, yeah, I think that's a point to them. They took control of me in that moment. And then I'll go, I'm going to give myself 2 points for the way in which I reacted. So then I feel much better about myself. Okay, Kerry, not a problem. Yes, and Kim's adding that, no, they don't make you angry, Kim. I've got to stop you right there. I think I would say that when you get triggered by something that somebody says, all right, let's keep it on us, not on them. Let's not blame them. They don't make us angry. We make ourselves angry when we react that way, Kim. I know that you know that. Think before you tell them off and do it a better way. Exactly. Now, Kerry's saying that she's a competitive little so-and-so. And that's why I try and see how many points did I score on the plus side, right? How many times did I get angry, but I stopped the words coming over the end of my tongue? Now, I've done some broadcasts. Where I don't mind telling you, I have lost an awful lot of viewers because I spoke my truth about a certain political person. And I know that I've lost a lot of viewers for that, but I still believe it to be true. So I don't hate them for it. There's part of me that said, you should know better than to discuss politics or religion online. But I do believe that I am who I am, and I will have a comment now and then. And if I lose viewers because of it, that's at least I told my truth. Carmen. Carmen, breathe. I got to repeat it, Carmen, because I'm going to give you an opportunity on something. Carmen says, I'm competitive with my inner self. Absolutely. Probably a little too hard on myself when I don't achieve what I set out to. My question is, probably? Or is it, can you drop the word probably and just say, and I'm definitely a little too hard on myself when I don't achieve what I set out to? I love dropping these words. Maybe I should have done it a different way. Right. Definitely. Well done, Carmen. Everybody, a round of applause for Carmen. And that's why I added, some of you are competitive because I know you see it as a competition. They won. I got to get an eye for an eye here. And it's like, let's stop doing that. It's not about them versus us. It's about us versus ourselves. Okay? And so I give myself plus points and minus points. And every now and then I will give them double points because they really got me. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, My kid really didn't like that one. And I'm sort of like, okay, fine. And then I go, next time, what am I going to say instead that's not hurtful? And that was the incredible thing when I was in that conversation and this attack happened to me. That's how I heard it. I just sat there and I was saying to myself, oh, that really hurt. It's okay to feel. And I'm saying this to myself, it's okay to feel that really hurt. And then as I said it, as I thought it, and it's happening right now again, isn't it funny? The tears started to fall out of my eyes, but I just carried on talking with very pretty picture. I'm busy talking away about whatever it was, and the tears are just rolling out of my eyes. How many of you know that was about as authentic as I could get? Yeah, Kimmy, I am saying that. I'm saying look at your own faults, not at everybody else's. Why did that cause you to react, and why did you blame them for your reaction? You see, that is the whole I think that's the Pandora's box. So when I opened that one up, Kimmy, I knew I was growing as an adult, not as a child. Children blame other people. Children justify it. Well, he hit me first. If you hear yourself ever say, but he hurt me and that's why I said that, right? That is childish behavior. And I am still guilty of it at 70. Well, actually, about to be 71. But, I am still guilty of it. I still haven't got it right. I'm still working on it. So let me ask you before I go, what of this broadcast did you find most useful? And would you recommend somebody else listen to it? Do you have somebody in your life that really needs to hear what this was about? And for those of you who participated in it, do you understand how many people you are going to help? How many people have been listening to this ghosting who will never talk to us but will still hear the lesson? And for that, I really want to thank each and every one of you. And what I love about the Dear Mama Sal viewers is that you are prepared to talk about this stuff. Well, Amy, it is absolutely my pleasure if it helped you. All right. And I assure you that I sometimes wonder, what on earth am I going to do for this broadcast? And then I don't know how to say this, Amy, but I got a feeling you might understand. I just need to start thinking about it. And what's the first thing that comes into my head? Why don't you do that? And I start with what happened to me this week. That's what I start with. It is so good to know we're not alone. You're quite right, Carmen. Right? The difference is we're prepared to talk about it. And that's what people do in therapy. They talk about the things that are happening to them. And how many of you have, literally won the point and then afterwards went, I wish I'd never said that. I can't take that back. I wish I had never said that. Because that was nasty. I didn't mean it to be nasty, and I know it came out of anger, but it was nasty. And if you do feel that, please, please, please contact that person and say, I know I attacked you when I said da 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 da, and it was not my intent. Right? And I really want to apologize for that. I heard you say da 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 da, and I reacted badly because I've got this going on in my life. By the way, another point. When I sat there with the tears rolling down my eyes, do any of you want to know what happened next? Even though I carried on talking. The person I was talking to loved me enough and was strong enough in our relationship, because that's what this is about, people, to say, I saw the reaction. What happened? And I said, thank you. You just proved that you do love me, and I know that to be true. And I said, what happened was I heard you use this one word. And it was about how much money I had spent since I retired. And I'm going to share this because I want you to understand the context. And the person I was talking to glibly, just a one-liner throwaway line, didn't really think first, but just said it. So you've burnt through that much money since you retired. And I said, when I was explaining why the tears came down, I said, I cannot tell you how hurt I felt when I heard the word burn through that much money. I said, I have not been out spending money. I have not been out taking trips. I have not been out socializing. I have not done an awful lot of things because I know I can't afford to. And so what I found hurt me, and this is my stuff, is I know how hard I have worked to stay within a budget. And I know how much self-discipline it has taken to do that. So to hear you say that I burnt through that much money, I don't feel heard, because I don't think you really understand what it costs for me to run my house or my car or the upkeep of the property. And I thought that you understood all of that pretty well, but obviously I haven't done a very good job of it. And I take responsibility for that. And that's why the tears came out, because I was very sad that you used the word burn through that much money. It hurt. But the hurt is mine, not yours. How many of you want to know what happened next? But first of all, do you understand that I took responsibility, that the hurt was mine and my reaction to what I heard? Right? I just want to make sure you're clear on that one. I felt hurt. I didn't say you hurt me when I felt hurt. My stuff. When I heard you use the word blah, 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 blah. I owned that it was my hurt. I didn't blame him. What I said was, this is what I felt, and this is why. The interesting thing was, I heard a very quick, oh, it was just a word, don't worry about it. And I said, oh, I worry about words. And I heard it loud and clear. Thank you. Was that assertive or aggressive? One thing that I have to say is that, yeah, I thought it was, I was, I tell you, I said it in a pretty assertive way too, which is, don't throw away the word, you used it. I didn't say that, but it's just like, I take words pretty seriously. And what I've discovered is, when people realize they've made a mistake, sometimes they just go, gosh, I am so sorry for that. It was a bad use of words. When they say, oh, it was just a word, that's also saying, and you overreacted to it. And I'm going, no, I didn't overreact. It was a very hurtful word. So do you, but I don't believe it was intentional. Can you understand that? I don't believe that if he thought about it first that he would have used the word, this particular friend of mine. Um, you know, but it was just what he was thinking. And that's why I thanked him. That's why I said thank you, because I know I heard his truth. I didn't need an apology. I can't answer that truthfully, Triona, because I can't remember. I quite honestly, at that stage, I was aware that this conversation was over. In a lot of ways, right? And I changed the subject, and I went on to something else. By the way, here's my question, Triona. I will be able to know if they truly apologize by what happens in the next month or so. Because some people need time to go away and process that. Yeah, Jody, I'm hoping that that person will go away and think about that. And I might not, be the beneficiary of that, but maybe somebody else. Maybe he'll think twice before he says it to somebody else. So did it hurt? You bet it did. Was it fair? Nope. But is life fair? Nope. Did he have the right to talk his truth? Yep. Absolutely. But I also had the right to say that was a little unfair. And I believe that's being assertive. Yeah, Triona, there's part of me that goes, I really don't think the apology happened. Otherwise, I probably would remember it. That's my sense. Because when you ask me that, I don't know if you saw my body language when I'm going, did he apologize? And it is, probably, maybe, I don't know. But I will know in the next couple of months because the behaviors will change. How many of you understand that, I saw that somebody made the comment that, wasn't it interesting that my realtor's husband phoned to give me some information on the realities of this situation. Yeah, I'm not sure that it was for that reason, but I understand what you're saying. And sometimes, presumably, they would have discussed it. And I'm pretty sure I'll get an apology from that person. Right? She's not a cowardly person at all. She would actually go, I went and checked it and I was wrong. She is capable of that. And she'd had a long, tired, hot day. By the way, part of the thing was I actually chose to go down in my Jeep. We normally go in her car. And I said, as we were leaving my driveway, by the way, do you know my air conditioner's not working? And if you don't want to travel in a car that hasn't got air conditioning, you need to shut now because I can handle it. I've lived in Africa and I can handle intense heat. Understand sitting in a line up at the border, that's pretty intense heat at the moment. And so she said, no, I'm fine. I said, okay, fine. So guess what? I just drove. And when she was obviously having problems with the heat, did I feel guilty? No. I had done my share of it, which was I'd warned her up front that I did not have air conditioning. I did notice that one of her parting comments to me was, by the way, why don't you have air conditioning in your car? So we know it was, she wished that I had. Yes, Carmen. Yes, it's interesting, right? I hate it when people say you overreact or you're overly sensitive. That is making it okay for them to say what they like. You bet. Putting the blame on you for their words. It's hurtful, and it's okay to tell them. I just don't bother a lot. Carmen, let me try and explain this to you, honey, because this is a really important one. The sort of people who say that are not going to hear your answer. Do you understand that? Because they're the right people. They always know what's right. And so that's why I just say, ouch. I'm really sorry for a second. I just need a second because that hurt. But I know that the hurt, I need time to process that because that hurt me. And, phew, okay, carry on. And that's what I do. I own it totally. I'm not asking for them to apologize. Listen, what they do is their business. I probably drop them down a rung, on my list of friends. This one goes to pretend friend instead of real one. So I'm hoping that this is some food for thought. I really appreciate your time, people, because I know the Friday lunchtime can get pretty reflective. But as so many of you do write to me and thank me for them, I am going to continue to do them. So bless you all. Have a great week. It is their fault, but blaming them is not going to make them stop, Kimmy. You do know that. You want them to apologize. It's not fair. That those people are not going to feel that. It's just their opinion. And that's what I say. Hey, thank you for your opinion. Hurt a bit, but you're entitled to your opinion. And I pray that you will have a little more compassion one day, if you can, and understanding. Maybe, and what else I say, Kimmy? I go, if you ever want to hear my side of this, just ask. And then I let it go. Because, 90% of the time, they do not want to hear your side. They do not want to hear you. Because they've got to be right. Yeah, you're not going to get an apology. Maybe you don't know that to be true. And that's what I would pray for, Kimmy. I would pray for that person to do the work they need to do to get to see that that was really hurtful. That's what I would pray for at night. Not to make them change, but rather to get the wisdom that they understand that later in life, even if you're not around at that time. And that does, I think that is difficult to do. No, I don't think. I know that is difficult to do because believe me, I struggle with it almost every day. Somebody once said to me, Kimmy, sometimes you're the bug and sometimes you're the windshield. Do you understand the difference in that? The windshield is capable of stopping bugs. And that means that I have got, my own protection strong enough. That's what Alice was talking about. That, that you need you need to choose to work on yourself enough that these attacks that people do don't hurt as much. And some of them will still get through. But Kimmy, let me ask you a question, if I may. And it may be a 2x4, so I want to make sure you want to hear it. Do you love that person? Then your time and energy are never wasted. And I want to send you a big hug because you and I both know that if you love that person and you cut them out of your life just because they are not learned enough, is what I want to say. That they're damaged enough not to know how to say this nicely. I would say that would be hurting you more than them. And I totally understand that you have the right to protect yourself, and I would support you in that 100%. But boy, protect yourself, and then you go, you know something, I love you dearly. And I pray that one day you'll understand how hurtful that comment was, but it's okay. I am coping with it. But I need you to know I still love you. I just don't like some of the ways you word things. Make sense? And that's where I went with the situation that I had, Kim, which is like, wow, that really hurt. I don't believe that was the intent. I believe it was probably what he thought, didn't mean to open his mouth and say it. And it's like, but I love that person. So guess what? I'll store it away, but it's like, okay, I need to move on. I need to treat that person like somebody I love, not like somebody who I hate. Do you all understand that one? So guess what I'm doing? I'm busy working out how can I do something really loving now? Not because I have to, because I choose to. This is like, all right, I need to get my mojo juice flowing again. I need to feel positive about this relationship again. And because I know somewhere deep down, that person really loves me. And he's had a bit of difficulty showing it, but I know that's true. So let me now do something. And I'm not going to change my behavior. I'm going to keep being the squeaky wheel. And one day, it'll make sense, or it won't. But you know something, Kimmy? I don't want to go to my grave going, I wish I hadn't done that and cut that person out of my life, because I really enjoyed that person as a human. And no, like me, he's not perfect. All right. So that's the point. And do I every day know that, at a very deep level, my realtor really did want to protect me. She was horrified to think that I might have gone to do a deal without her, not because of the money, because she would see things that I wouldn't see because of her experience. Can you see that? So one of the things I will continue to do is, if I do find, that I'm going to go ahead with that deal, I will say to her, all right, do you want to come with me? And just in case I miss, not in the seeing of it, but if I go back for a second look, I'll go, do you want to come with me? And be the eyes I haven't got, because I'm too busy looking at the nice things out here. I'm not looking at the other side of it. By the way, Jody, because Jody knows and has seen some of the pictures, I just wanted to explain something to you so you understand. This is where my process went, Jody. By the way, guys, just so you know, I saw this really nice unit, and really what this guy had done outside, and in terms of storage and everything, was incredible. But he wants an awful lot of money for the unit and what he's done. And I thought that it was a little bit too much, right? So could I have said to him, it's a total ripoff at that price. I mean, I like it, but it's a total ripoff at that price. I could have said that, but I didn't want to say that. So what I said to him, listen to how I worded this and see if you think it's assertive or was I aggressive. I wrote to him and said, I'm trying for a win-win here. I love your unit and I would like to buy it. So I am trying to justify it to myself at the moment because it's an awful lot of money. I have done the research and I have looked at secondhand units of your model in better condition than yours. And here are the links. And they are priced at this much money. You are pricing your unit nearly 80,000 more than that, or 60,000, whatever it was, right? So therefore, here's what I'd like you to do. because you know I want to come to a win-win, can you write down all that you have done that I might not have heard about that you think justify that much extra money? I understand you've done a heck of a lot of work and that you deserve compensation for it. I understand that. And I'm not fighting that. I just have difficulty that it's this much. I think it might be little overpriced. So what I'm going for is he going to come and be realistic? Because Jody, here's the other thing I've been thinking about at night. Could I find an equally good unit for half the price and pay somebody 25,000 to do what he did in his? do you understand? Because I know what I loved about what he did. And I'm going, I probably wouldn't need to spend 20,000 to get that done, to bring a contractor in and just say, okay, this is what I'd like done. I need this. I want a she shed, not a man cave. I want a she shed at the back and da 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 da. And I want it all to match, and I want it all painted in natural cedar. And and I was thinking, how much would that cost me? Might take me a year to get it organized. But is that a better deal? Because now I know what it looks like, and I thank you, God, for showing it to me. Does it make sense, Jody? So I am not. Yes, so you understand. I asked, seek first to understand. I wrote to him and said, give this a bit of thought, please, and write down all the things that you've done that I might have missed. I know I got most of them, but I might have missed. So that's why I'm having a difficulty judging, justifying the difference between what I know is the going price for a secondhand unit of your model, the actual model itself. I know what it is. I've seen the price in the States on 3 different models, and the most expensive one is only at here. And that one is absolutely perfect condition, which we know yours isn't. And I said, but you're asking this much over that, and I am not sure I can see that value. I know you've done a lot of work, and I totally believe you need compensation for it. So do you understand? That's all like, I want a win-win. And if he turns around and says, listen, it's take it or leave it, I will say, I totally understand that, but I'd still like to come over and have a beer. And because that's what he said to me, you need to come over so we can make you dinner. So I wasn't saying that you're ripping me off, because maybe I don't know what he did. You're right? So I can see that he did a lot, but I don't think that it's that much. All right. So I I said to somebody yesterday, may you live an interesting year. And the person looked at me and said, what does that mean? I said, well, quite honestly, life can be very uninteresting if you just sort of go with the flow. But what makes life interesting is when you stand up for yourself, or when you set a boundary, or when you really know this is what I want and I choose not to compromise that. I believe that makes life interesting. Why? Because you're going to get some blowback. Some people are going to not like that. And that means that you get a chance to see how well you are managing things. I think this whole process I'm going through is a monumental lesson. I really do. And I keep going, okay. And I better learn the lessons, because otherwise we know it's coming back. And I said yesterday to my friend and realtor, I said, it's no wonder this is taking so much time. This is the most important decision probably of my life in some ways. And I want to make sure I have really thought this out. And luckily, that is my right. So, in terms of the road trip twice, how many of you know you do a lot of thinking when you're driving on a highway? And I went, I think that's what it was about. I had lots of time to think driving all the way down there on Wednesday, and lots of time to think about it driving back. And then yesterday, I got lots of time to talk about it with my driving down yesterday. And then I had even more time to think about it driving back and discussing. And so it's all important stuff. So what is assertive and what is aggressive? One is when I think aggressive is when we come back in anger. Assertive is when I go, whoa, hang on a second. I'm not sure that is totally true. I'm not sure why you saw it that way, and I'm interested to hear, but this is my thinking on this. And then I will state my case and then say, okay, what's yours? What caused you to say that? And if they say, it was just, whatever. Okay. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, remember to look after one another. But remember that they do not cause you to do anything. They are not to blame for the way you react. You are. And it is up to us to own that, accept it, and apologize for it when we need to. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, thanks so much for being here.